You know what is super exciting? It is super exciting to think that anyone could start a grocery stockpile for even less than 20 bucks. I'm talking about even less than 15 bucks. I did the math on a few items that I believe are very, very helpful. Very, very helpful when you want to begin your essential stockpile. Okay, we're going to talk about a few items and their prices. Some of the items include bag of lentils, fresh lentils, a sack of flour, a can of spam lunch meat, okay, a 16-ounce box of spaghetti, otherwise known by some Italians as spaghetti, just saying, uh, a bottle of vegetable oil, which is always, interchangeable. If you could get the kind that has like no flavor, like canola, that's great too, and a 2-pound bag of rice. Collectively, lots of these things that I just mentioned, in fact, all of these things I just mentioned, have a pretty darn good shelf life. Okay. And beside that, they yield a lot of food. So, to be honest with you, in my honest, no excuses offered about, but I don't have the money to start. You could start a stockpile as little as $3. There's actually a video out there that Sensible Living with Money Mom did showing just that. I'm almost positive about that. Might have to check it out. And if I find it, I'll hook it up. But I'm outlining for you about less than $15. To be exact, I did the math, $12.75. For some people, that's literally 2.5 cups of coffee outside. Yeah, yeah. This is why I tell the coffee story a lot. This is why a lot of folks on the frugal channels talk about the coffee story, especially when some people have no problem blinking an eyelash on a $6 or $7 cup of coffee. And then perhaps the same people say, but I can't stockpile. I have an issue with that because to me it defies logic. But anyway, the good news is that we can get a whole bunch of food. I'll give you an example. A bag of a nationally known brand of lentils. And if you make lentil soup or use it inside of recipes or make lentil burgers out of it or lentil hummus type of thing out of it, is only $1.69. Are you serious? Yes, I'm serious. A 2-pound sack of flour I found for $1.39. And you know all the things one could get out of that sack of flour because I even did a video about that not that long ago. I yielded a lot of stuff and actually technically still have about a quarter of a cup left in that same sack. Can you imagine? I'll probably use it for my brownies for Valentine's Day, which does not take up a much that much flour. Just saying, just saying. All right. So that's it with the flour. Now, the spam type products, there are store brand names of spam. There's the national spam that we all know and many of us enjoy. And then there's the store brand version. To me, they're very similar. I've had both. They're very similar. So it's up to you. You could pay anywhere from $1.99 up. I would say the average price for one can is $3.50. And I'm including the national famous actual spam. But you could do a lot of things with that product. You could use it in stir fries. You could make it for breakfast. You could chop it up. You could throw it on a sandwich. You could do a ton of stuff with it. You can melt some cheese over it. And it is always there and it's handy dandy, ready to eat. God forbid of a power failure, you need to eat, and the power failure goes on for a few days. Just open up that can of spam right then and there. You could eat it just as is, which is a good thing to have that available protein. You know what I'm saying? So for that simple cost, it's a great thing. And in general in life, just to enjoy it. Let's see. A box of spaghetti was only $1. 16 ounces, by the way, was only $1.89. You yield a ton of stuff with spaghetti. Okay, and what I do to make it stretch even longer, because it's one of the long pastas, I break it in half. So I effectively give myself 2 boxes of spaghetti. Okay, just saying, just saying. So there you go. So I'm actually cutting that cost in 50% half. The vegetable oil or veggie oil, 24 ounces, I saw a store brand for only $2.39. Now, some people live close by to those dollar type stores, If you could get any of the above items at the $1.25 store, you're saving even further. Just saying. Okay. So I'm just letting you know. Now, a 2 pound bag of rice. How many things can we make with rice? You could make rice patties, as I call it, or some people call it rice balls. Or you could do that. You could put it as an ingredient in soup. You can make the fried rice. So many things. You can make ground beef with rice and sauce. Delish, and a can of peas over it. Delish. These are staples. Now, mind you, I put the little bit of a higher price item. They weren't all from the Dollar Tree at all. And even just regular store, it only came to $12.75. You see, when there's a will, there's a way. I mean it. When there's a will, there's a way. If you really want to make something last or really start something, we are still in the very beginning part of the year. New slate, clean slate. Why not? Look at the location of where you're planning your stockpile. Do you have a wall in your room? Most people have walls to have a room. Am I right or am I right? Although sometimes people do use room separators, and that's totally understandable. I get that. But if you could find a wall where you could just like devote about 6 inches outwardly, and you could absolutely like you could purchase some shelves. You could get some shelves, for example, some of the durable ones like the metal racks. Those are great. You could get them at local garage sales or look it up on those marketplaces type thing, or those other online sale places where you could get things close by. Why not? I mean, hey, if you could, you could, or just regular old fashioned sales that you may see on the Amazon, for example. Yeah, I said the word. And this is not a sponsored ad for that company. But just imagine for $12.75 and even the slightly higher price to get all those things, all of these things generate things. The lentils, you can make lentil soup, you can make lentil hummus, you could just have lentils with seasoning on it as a side dish. Yeah, and if you don't care for lentils, I would say interchangeably, you could buy a bag of split peas from that same company everybody knows about, and it's about the same price. And by the way, the good news is that there are recipes in the backs of these items. Almost every one of them has like a recipe in back of it, a recipe idea that one may consider. So take your 10 or $15, and instead of saying this week, oh, I can't do it, say, you know what can I do to cut back this week to make sure that I have that 20 bucks that Janet really believes could really be get a great stockpile, which this is really the basis of a good beginning. These things have good lasting power. Oil you can use in so many things in place of butter. You could even use them to make certain biscuits and stuff of that nature. You are opening up a world and unlocking the door to possibilities of recipes by having these things on hand. How many times, have you said, gee, I wish I had this or that. Oh, by the way, I didn't include it. And maybe I could include it. You could actually check out some unsweetened cocoa, not the national brand one, but you could get it at the store brand one for like about $2.39. Just mentioning that. And that would bring you up to about $15. Why the cocoa, Jan? Well, think of how many different things you can make with it. You can make the cocoa bread. I gave you that recipe. You can make the brownies. You can make hot chocolate from it. So you regenerate, not to mention a delicious chocolate cake. I mean, I could go on and on. Chocolate cookies, go on and on. And of course, when you make those homemade brownies, and I gave you that recipe is amazing. So it's up to us. Challenge yourself. Find ways to save $15 this week. And if you haven't started your stockpile, you may consider everything that I mentioned before.